Come on, man.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Benny. There's a scripture about how good parents give their children bread and not snakes. What kind of a parent would hand their child a snake when they ask for bread? Meaning, you got to take care of your own, right? Like, this is just part of human nature if you are a good and moral person, but unfortunately, we are not led by moral people.
American taxpayers are financing more than just weapons. The US government's buying seeds and fertilizer for Ukrainian farmers. And the US also funds the divers clearing unexploded ammunition from the country's rivers and covering the salaries of Ukraine's first responders, 57,000 of them. We were surprised to find that to keep it afloat, the US government is subsidizing small businesses.
Oh, what's that? We're subsidizing old Ukrainian ladies to go knitting? That is precisely what we're doing. This is a client state. Ukraine has now become a client state of our State Department. This is, I seldom get like my blood actually boiling while I'm looking at it and doing research for this program. Joe Biden is bankrolling Ukraine's 57,000 first responders. Oh, got it. Meanwhile, first responders who got cancer died after responding to September 11th. They can't get a penny. They can't get scratched from the federal government. But we're funding nearly 60,000 first responders in Ukraine and funding fashion stores and schools and farms. $10 billion aid package. Oh my God, these absolute. And Republicans are exactly half the problem here because Republicans need to say no to this. U.S.'s funding for Ukraine has not just covered the direct costs of the war. Other sections of the country's economy have received billions of dollars. The country's farming sector has received hundreds of millions of dollars. Small businesses and first responders have benefited from aid. Lawmakers in the U.S. are torn as to whether Ukraine should continue to receive billions of taxpayer dollars. The U.S. has given close to $100 billion in aid to Ukraine after it was invaded. Now it is looking like that is the largest money laundering scheme in human history. Billions of dollars have been used for Ukraine's first responders to subsidize farmers and small businesses. The analysis by the Council of Foreign Relations found that over $30 billion, 40% of the U.S. aid to Ukraine, has been financed humanitarian support, not just military costs. Oh, yeah, baby. Of course, nothing to buy little Voldy over here a new suit. But plenty of money for farmers and for ladies who are knitting. Money has helped small businesses, including a knitwear company, who has received support to find international customers. Oh my God, look at this. Oh my God. So you saw there, of course, in the 60 Minutes piece that just like ripped across the internet this weekend when it was dropped. The American public is just roundly and utterly disgusted and repulsed by this. Particularly insulting given what we are facing here in this country, which is complete and total collapse of our economy, our border, our way of life, the esprit de corps nation. There's not a single thing in America that's gotten better. Everything is getting worse. Rand Paul is saying nobody knows where the hell any of this money is going. It's going directly to line the pockets of American politicians and their connected defense contractors. And some of the worst people on earth, actually.
$100 billion and nobody's counting the money and nobody's looking for the fraud. And Ukraine's always been in the top 10 or historically been in the top 10 for corruption. So no, I think it's a huge mistake. It's an unpopular idea, and yet the leaders in Washington are dead set on ramming this down our throat. But I told them I am not going along with it. I will not allow my consent to let them push through more money for Ukraine, particularly when they have the gall to tell us they're going to pay Ukrainian government workers while our workers go unpaid.
Yeah, that's right. Joe Biden's saying, oh, the government shutdown is going to affect black Americans, immediately racializing the issue while he pays for hundreds of thousands. I mean, if it's 60,000 first responders at least, you're talking hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians are on the American taxpayer public payroll right now. How much dirt do they have on Joe Biden, man? How much dirt do they have on Joe? Wow. How many people are getting paid off through all this? That's what I wonder. That makes me wonder. Like, this is really what this is a money laundering operation to keep people quiet in Ukraine, where Joe Biden has the dirtiest, bloodiest evidence splattered all over the place, where Joe Biden committed his most egregious crimes. They're paying these people off. There's the same thing in China. Watch them hand Taiwan to China just to shut up before 2024. This is exactly what's happening. Jesse Waters saying Biden paying Ukrainians to knit scarves with our tax dollars. So many people should be so furious.
Paying Ukrainians to make cardigans. After Iraq and Afghanistan, I was convinced the United States had sworn off nation building, but we haven't. And what's the difference between nation building and money laundering? I don't know. Because the Pentagon failed its last 5 audits.
The ability to pass an audit or the fact that the DOD has not passed an audit is not suggestive of waste, fraud, and abuse.
So what is
now it's a question of it's suggestive that we don't have an accurate inventory that we can pull up of what we have where.
So in my world,
yeah,
that's waste.
How is that waste?
If I give you $1 billion and you can't tell me what happened to it, that to me is wasteful.
And the Pentagon just announced they can't account for $6 billion in Ukraine. And on top of that, President Zelensky just sacked his defense minister for graft. Don't worry. The Clinton Global Initiative has announced it's in charge of Ukraine reconstruction. So this is turning into an international financial war crime layered over actual war crimes.
Yes.
But if you ask these questions, Ukraine's transgender CIA-sponsored disinformation czar, Sarah, will hunt you down and have his way with you.
Russia's war criminal propagandists will all be hunted down, and justice will be served as we in Ukraine are led on this mission by faith in God, liberty, and complete liberation.
Uh-oh.
And remember when Joe Biden slipped and said Americans were fighting in Ukraine? It's true. The New York Times reports Americans fighting the Russians in Ukraine are being medevaced out back to Germany for surgery. Now, it sounds like every modern American war. They're stealing our money and lying to us.
Man, and what are we getting for it? What did you get for Iraq and Afghanistan? What did you get for Vietnam? A memorial? Yeah. This is what the Ukraine counteroffensive has looked like. This is what $100 billion has bought America. That little blue dot right there. That one right there. This is held by Russia. This is what Ukraine has gotten back. By the way, is any of this land even habitable? Will it ever be habitable ever again? $500 billion, the American taxpayer, little blue dots. How many more trillions to take the rest back? Yeah, that's right. What does that cost? What's the rest of this going to cost? Yeah, the end of the West is what it'll cost, actually. And maybe that's the point. That seems to be the feature, not the bug. So meanwhile, as we're paying what's probably amounting to trillions to defend Ukraine's border here, what's happening with our border?
Announcing there were more than 232,000 migrant encounters at the southern border in August, the highest monthly total this year. The president says his policies are working.
We put in place policies that process people in a fair and fast way.
But our poll shows only 23% approve of his handling of the situation, another career low.
Okay. Well, let's see here. There's a full invasion at our southern border. Greg Abbott has declared an invasion on the southern border, deployed the Texas National Guard, building the border wall, razor wire, marine barriers, and repelling migrants. The U.S. Constitution won ratification by promising states an article that the federal government shall protect each of them against an invasion, and Joe Biden is refusing to do that. It's not very popular. AOC can't even give a speech in New York City without being screamed down, which is precisely what's happening here. Close the border is what people are screaming at her on the streets of New York, as military-aged men plant foreign national flags on our soil. There's the flag of Venezuela being planted on a small strip of land on the Texas border. What does this lead to in America? Well, there's no such thing as public trust anymore. This is a low-trust society. They're locking up chicken poppers and frozen pizzas in San Francisco. This is what the Walgreens in San Francisco looks like. This is why CVS is closing 900 locations they just announced today. You have to hit a button in New York City in order to get toothpaste. because of the homelessness, because of illegal criminal migrants who have no records here. So how do you even arrest those kind of people? This is what Oakland looks like, cleared out completely by shoplifters. There's nothing left. Nothing left. The store's empty. How do you account for that? Well, you send more money to Ukraine, of course. Donald Trump posting on Truth Social, problem solved, new border security will work for food. There's a New York Times article about how Donald Trump wanted to fill the river between Mexico and Texas with alligators and crocodiles from back in the day. Ladies and gentlemen, we deserve better. We deserve better in this nation. Your politicians, your leaders, they view themselves as global dictators. And they view themselves as global dictators. They don't view themselves as Americans. They view themselves as global dictators overseeing all of their children around the world. They hate Russia. And they hate you. They only want power. America is a tax farm for them to engage in adventurism abroad and wreck other smaller, more brittle nations. And that's precisely what they are doing in Ukraine. We are not helping the situation in Ukraine. Helping the situation in Ukraine is demanding peace immediately. Ceasefire now. End it at all costs. And no more costs to us. That's what Real America First is all about. That's what we're about on this channel. Ladies and gentlemen, like, share, and subscribe. It's your boy Benny. See ya.